Hey everybody, welcome to another segment of Tony's Show, and let's get ready to rumble. Remember that boxer thing there? We're gonna rumble. Rumble in the jungle. I had somebody, buddy of mine, friends of mine, call me up and saying that they have a relative of theirs working at a secondhand store. And a lot of people were giving their Bibles back, giving the Bibles up because they're blaming God for this COVID. I didn't know what to make of that. I really didn't. I thought either they're extremely stupid people, don't know how to read a Bible, or never bothered even looking at a Bible. One of those. So I started dwelling on that for a bit. When we're looking at all the ridiculousness of the way people are thinking, it's astounding to me that anybody would, again, for lack of a better way of expressing it, give God up in these times. I think if anything, you need God more, not less. And to blame God for Lucifer's evil, I thought that was really unique too. It's another one of those situations where God doesn't get to his due credit when he's supposed to get. Let's thank Mother Nature or some other bullshit. Whatever. You don't thank God, the Creator, for anything but Mother Nature gets it all to do. Really, that one blows me away most of the time. But then when God isn't doing anything and he's allowing some things to take place so that we would grow up and wake up to what's really going on. All of a sudden he gets blamed for the problems. This is staggering to me that this happens. It's a common thing. Happens to everybody. Happens to Christians and non-Christians, whoever believes in God. Somewhere along the way, God gets blamed for certain things. So I thought about that. I thought, okay, they're giving up their Bibles. Wow. Basically, here's your life support and throwing it away. These are the very same people that will now capitulate to wearing a mask, to getting chipped, and continue walking in the ways of Moloch and Baal. There's no question. And whether or not they were even real believers is another tale of to take as well. This is one of those. Faith is one of those things that when the going gets tough, that's when your faith is really. That's where it grows, more or less. Sometimes you get mad. Sometimes you start speaking Canadian and other things because stuff is happening. I think since I've been involved with nanotechnology, I think my linguistic skills and speaking the Canadian language I'm a PhD in it now. It's just some of the things I see. Oh man, oh man. So the point I'm trying to get across here is that we're living in a war. We're in a war. We've been in war. We're waking up to that reality that we are in a war. This war has been going on for quite some time. It's not new. Even the Bible tells you there's no discharge from war. So, my theme today is, if you have a faith in God, you better hang on to it. This is about to get worse, and it's about to get rough. They are increasing the torture effect on everybody. Now there are people in place who are suing and going to be challenging the legal system in regarding to what's going on. Prime Minister of Canada is not fit to rule the country. He's under house arrest. How can a criminal in this country shut down Parliament? If he's a criminal, then his powers of authority should have been stripped away from him until the matter is settled, and we get a deputy prime minister or some other prime minister, or we have a new election so that we can put in place a governance that will govern on behalf of the people. This bullshit with the mass, this bullshit with this torture, this bullshit with the corona, it is astounding to me how the media propagates this so much. And just for an FYI for all of you, we've been exposed to this stuff, supposedly exposed to this stuff, because I don't believe it ever existed. Based on the research I'm getting, the virologists don't even know what to look for. So how the hell do you know what we have? And we gave it a name: COVID-19, COVID 2020, COVID 2021. Oh, the COVID boogeyman is on his way. This is the same shit that they did in the 90s. Every year there was a new flu: Spanish flu, Hong Kong flu, Chinese flu, Japanese flu, Tokyo flu, Filipino flu, Fiji flu, all coming from Asia. Well, and isn't that an interesting scenario there when you sit there and think about it? That all these viruses, supposed viruses, all have come from China or the Asian Pacific. Now, what does that tell you? What is that saying? But the media again placates this down, doesn't really allow anybody to spend any great deal of time about it's coming from Asia. This one came from China, supposedly. Now we know China doesn't have the brains or the capacity to really do anything scientifically with biology. They would have to have gotten help from the Western world, or from Russia, France, England, Germany, United States, Canada. These are the leading, and then again some of the Baltic countries. These are the leading authorities when it comes to this kind of science. Nanotechnology, the United States and the United Kingdom are like the head and shoulders ahead of everybody on this. China says it wants to try to take out the U.S. and Canada or Britain. Not happening. Not unless they get help. They don't have enough brains to tie their shoe if it was Velcro when it comes to this kind of stuff. They're good at a lot of other things, but this is one thing they suck at. But nonetheless, every flu that in the 90s, if you go look it up, all came from Asia, all has some kind of Asian denigration to it. They all had some entitlement, some kind of theme that came from Asia. Now we have COVID-19 boogeyman. Oh, first we had the coronavirus. The beer virus. You drink Corona beer, you'd get the virus. Well, I may as well say that too. Well, it came from fish, came from bats. You may as well say it came from the beer. Beer. We are in a dire situation here because the level of deception is at an all-time high. I mean, didn't Jesus call Lucifer the father? When you talk to the Hebrews, you're of your father, the devil. He was a liar. A liar. And the children of Baal, or the children of Moloch, are also liars. So when we're talking about deception in games, who controls the media? Who owns most of the media today in the world? Makes you wonder. Now I won't say Jews, because Jews don't own the media. They don't. Israel does not own the media. Zionists own the media. There's a difference between Zionists and Israelis and Hebrews. Okay, but Zionists run the media. So what is that? Where does that put the Zionists? What category would you put them in? I'll let that be to your discernment. When we're looking at everything that's going on, everything has a dual visual. It's what they show you is one thing. What is being presented is another thing. See, presentation is about, again, discerning what the message is that they're showing. Showing you something or entertaining you with something is just about what it is. It's to give you this veneer view of what's really happening. So as a result, you get entertained by whatever you're seeing, but you're not seeing what they're really saying. You're not interpreting what they're saying. So the presentation that's being presented is being presented to other people in the telecommunications industry. The authorities there, they're transferring messages through the medium. There was a commercial years ago, and some of you may have seen it, some of you may not have. It was a Canadian commercial about a Canadian psychologist that was referencing television and figuring things out. And he said in the commercial, this is how they presented it: the message is the medium. Imagine that. Didn't the mediums back in the day summon the dead? The message is the medium. I was watching something last night. I was going through the YouTube channel, and I happened to come across John McCartney, is it John McCartney? John McCartney's, Paul McCartney, sorry, Paul McCartney's Give Peace a Chance. It was a concert he did. And then when he did the concert, because again, I grew up in that era of time when he was a big popular musician of the day, with the Beatles, and then on his own. He went solo. But when they said give peace a chance, they showed you a big giant peace sign, which is an upside down broken cross. And what they were really saying in that message was not give peace a chance, but give the devil a chance. This was symbolism of Satan and the works of Satan. And we didn't see it at the time. I was telling my friend the other day, I said, boy, were we effing stupid. I said it that way. Were we effing stupid? Because, I mean, we didn't really know what was going on, and we thought everything was so cool. And then listen to these guys sing, give peace a chance, and blah, blah, blah. Again, what they showed us and what they were presenting, we didn't get the presentation. We just got the show. And that's the way it is with what's going on with this whole COVID thing. The general population are not going to wake up on this. I'm going to tell you that right now. But the 90% they got, 95% they got them. They got them by the short and curlies. They got them. They're not going nowhere. And they got them so petrified. I just posted on my window the actual legislation in Ontario for mask exemptions. Okay, it's also posted. It's going to be posted in the Podbean. All you got to do is click on the 2 links, download them, and you have actual documentation in Ontario where you get exemptions. There's actually 3 exemptions. I thought there was 2. One exemption was if you had a health condition that didn't allow you to wear a mask. Second condition was if you had to have help getting the mask off of you. And the third condition was, again, religious exemptions. So this is the legality that we have as people. We don't have to wear those masks. Okay, we don't have to. You can always reject going into a store or a merchant's place if they require you to wear a mask and you say no. Now, I'm going to tell you this. This works, so far it is working in Ontario. If you go into a store, you just tell them that you're not wearing a mask for health purposes. They can't even ask you why. That's also in that documentation. Or you're going in there because you have a religious exemption that you don't, that this is part of a Luciferian mandate and whatever. Now, I did see something yesterday, some store called Eagle Brand, somewhere down in the States, where a guy walked in the mask, he had an exemption, and they kicked him out. They actually were manhandling the guy. The guy, I'm surprised he didn't hit the one guy that put his hand on him. Now, nobody has the right to put their hands on you, period. Nobody. Then if they do, they're subject for a lawsuit. Sue them. If they are rejecting you for going into the shop and you show them the documentation, then ask them for their name and what they do there so that you can say you're going to proceed with litigation here on this. See, we need to start non-complying. Now, the food supply chain has been disorientated already, disrupted. And I'm going to repeat this again. You need to start stockpiling your food. Things you eat, things you use the most, razors, you need to stockpile razors, unless you got an electric shaver, you might want to buy 2 or 3 of those. Dried goods, like dried milk, dried gelatin, dried egg powder, dried potato powder. These will go a long way in keeping you fed while everybody else is starving. It's almost like the days of Egypt when Joseph was in Egypt and he gave Pharaoh the interpretation of a dream where they were going to have 7 years of prosperity and 7 years of poverty, and to take the 7 years of prosperity and put them aside for the 7 years of poverty that was coming down the pipe. This is what we should have all been doing all along anyway as part of our way of life. So you don't get caught with your knickers down. We're looking today at being prepared. I was talking to somebody today about in Ontario or in Canada, we're talking about that $2,000 supplemental income, and that they're going to spread this across the board. This is going to screw the more well-to-do Canadians who have worked hard, bought their big homes, big cars, big businesses. You're all going to be stuck in the same wage scale. You're all going to be stuck in the same wage scale. So a lot of people are going to lose everything that they've ever worked for. So keep in mind that this is a reality coming to Canada. Okay, this idea, okay, those people are on welfare, they're making like $600 or $700 a month. They're going to be in their glory. They're going to make about 3 or 4 times more money than they did on the welfare system. But this is the price that we will all pay under this social bullshit. If we're paying $4 for a gallon of milk in Canada, or $5 for a gallon of milk in Canada, or 3 liters, which isn't even a gallon, it may go up to $10 or $15 a gallon or 3 liters, because all that tax revenue will need to go back into the system so that people can get paid that $2,000 a month. It sounds really good on paper, but that money's got to come in somewhere, some way, somehow. And whether we're on a digitized income or not, once you reach your credit limit or your limit, you can't do anything until the next month. Imagine that. And imagine what the rents are going to be like if they're outrageous now in Canada, and the rents are extremely outrageous in Canada. There's no regulation anymore, nothing. And there's no regulation for buying a property here in this country. These houses that they're selling for $300,000 and $400,000 here where I live, there's no way they're worth that kind of money. They're about worth 1/6 of that. There's no economy here to warrant such a overinflated pricing on these homes. And what's causing the overinflated pricing of these homes is these people from Toronto coming down here and bidding these houses up high. And as a result, now we're having these inflated prices for these homes. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I would have a regulation there on a limit that if this house is worth this much, that's all you're going to get. First come, first served. That's it. That's where you keep the prices of inflation down where they're supposed to be. There is a greed factor here that's killing everybody. You're not going to be able to live in Ontario in a house because the rents are going to be so outrageously high that you'll be out in the street. There'll be no way you can afford it. That $2,000 a month ain't going to do jack shit, really. We were talking about that, saying, okay, if a guy's got a house and he's spending $2,500 on a house, he's got a $700 car payment, he's got then you got the gas and the hydro, and you got the insurances. This is just buying the car and the house. The house put him over budget. What's he going to do? What's she going to do? That's the way it is. That's how it is. Everybody's got to start thinking in regard to this. It's better to live within your means, and if you're living where your wages are higher than what you're putting out, you're better off than to be in a position where every penny you're making is going out to paying some kind of debt. I have a policy when I buy stuff for my shop. I rarely buy stuff for myself anymore. I really don't need much. Basic stuff. But I'm always buying stuff for the shop. But I put a limitation on what I'm going to buy per month so that I can pay the credit card off at the end of the month. I mean, that's just smart business. You don't want to be accumulating interest. Unless the interest is going to really work out in your favor as far as a tax shelter. So, like I said, when you're looking at where we're at today with this COVID, this is all about, again, torture and training. We're training people to be children. Okay, now put on your masky. We're going into the store. Okay, put on your condoms on your hands. There you go. Now this is to the 30-year-olds, the millennials I'm talking. This is not the 4-year-olds. This is the 30-year-olds I'm talking to. Put on your hand condoms. There you go. Now you can go into the store. Make sure you're 6 feet apart from the nearest person around you, because we don't want you to get sick. We don't want you to get a foo-foo boo-boo. The foo-foo boo-boos take a long time to cure. We know this. That's to the 30-year-olds. Because nobody does the research correctly. We're looking at Google. We're looking at the mainstream media. And again, they did this beautifully when they started talking about the fake news, making everybody believe that the fake news was coming out of YouTube or Facebook or someplace else, where the fake news is actually coming from the national networks across the planet. NBC, CBC, CBS, ABC. You know what's interesting about these mediums that call on the dead? This is how they are empowered through the power of the dead, which actually has no power. When they do what they do, they never let a unbiased statement stated on their network. If someone comes up and says something in the challenges of what they're saying about COVID, all of a sudden that's fake news. And see, that's how they got the general population believing that this is fake news. And then when you terrorize the general population, oh, you're going to die spreading again. Oh, it blew up. The numbers are off the map. Oh, geez. Oh, now we want you to wear a face mask inside your house. We want you to wear a face mask when you go to the toilet. We want you to wear a face mask when you're having sex with your partner. Oh, we want you to wear it and put it on your sexual organs so this way your willy doesn't get COVID or your flower doesn't get COVID. We want you to wear a mask when you take a shower. We want you to wear a mask when you drive in the car. We want you to wear it. Don't take it off ever. Don't worry about eating. Just run the food intravenously. Just the way you won't get COVID from eating food. and the 30-year-old millennials will fall for that. Oh, quick, where's my mask? Give me my mask. Oh. Most of them don't know what sex is anymore. Their idea of sex is punching a pad, a button on a keypad on a cell phone. That's their extent of their idea of it. Oh, look, my finger. Oh, and I got my hand condom on. This is called safe sex. I can now push my pad, and not get an STD. Ooh. This is the level of intellect we're dealing with today. And then there are those who are older, who basically have surrendered. They're not fighting. They figure if they just go along, because in the past you went along, you came out on top. They don't realize now by going along, they're going to be slaughtered. They don't realize this. This is one of those situations that happen, and they will get hit and they'll get popped. And then they'll think, oh my gosh. That'll be too late. It'll be too late. Just way too late, There's a link on here. I was reading this about the ritual reasons for wearing a mask and how, again, it's by design to teach people to be seen and not heard, and to submit themselves to some satanic hierarchy behind this. And this is incredible when you read this. I thought it made a lot of sense on a lot of different points, so I figured I'd put it up there, because, again, we need to understand that this is what it is. This is, again, about seeing how freaking dumb the general population is, and how they can be subdued very easly into, again, following a satanic ritual without even being aware of it. Then on the same page, someone sent me a video of the mask ritual, how they walk into a satanic coven, and they're all wearing their robes, and they all have to put their mask on, and none of them say a word. They're all following the ritual. They're doing. If the guy does a song and dance, he's tapping on the cane and bending over on his knee. They all do the same thing. It's like it's a program. Tap the stick. Okay, activate the program. Fall on the knee. They all fall on the knee, and then at the end of it all the women take off the robes and disrobe themselves. Okay, again, this is about accessing their sexual energy. But this is what this is all about. Eventually, they'll have people doing the same thing. They will have them in such a ritualistic way of thinking that at the end of it all, they'll strip down naked, and they will be fed upon by whatever energies they're putting out. Their life force energy will be sucked dry into this. This is how Satan lives. He needs a life force energy to sustain his grasp on this reality. And as long as they are willing servants, willing to give them their life force, he promises them whatever, but in the end they're dead and he gets everything back anyway. So this basically gives you a good idea of what's happening there in that scenario. Now, don't be running to it because you think you're going to see some naked women there. They're naked, but you can't really see anything, and it's no big deal. Geez, naked woman's a naked woman's a naked woman, But it's the concept of what they're doing and how they're following the program. They walk in, they're greeted, something is said, they're accessing a program. They put the mask on, then they get into the position. Then the guy does his ritual, and he does what he does, and then they follow suit, as if they're sort of like the Catholic Church. You ever go to a Catholic church? I'll tell you, you go to a Catholic church, it's like you get exercise. You stand up for a little bit, you sit down for a little bit, you stand up for a little bit, you kneel down for a little bit, you stand up for a little bit, you sit down for a little bit, and it's all part of the ritualistic teachings that they got people following. On a certain cue, they'll kneel down. On a certain cue, they stand up. On a certain cue, they sit down. On a certain cue, they do whatever. And this is all the same concept, same idea. I don't remember reading anywhere in the Bible where you have to do the whole song and dance thing, but this is the rituals that they want done in the Catholic Church, which is the same concept in these satanic covens. So, again, when you look at this is all about, again, giving you some idea, and you might want to share this data with your friends and explain to them how this is all tied to this. A friend of mine sent me a video of Hodge twins. These are two twins down in Texas. I've seen them before. They crack me up. And they get into this whole thing because there was a church in New York, I think it was New York, a Baptist church. And the Antifa people were out front, and they were yelling at this mother. She had 3 children, taking them into church, and they were being discriminatory. Yet they themselves don't want to feel discriminated against, but they were discriminatory. So they're ranting and raving, and so these guys were pointing out how dumb these people were, and how they couldn't count it past 3. One of them said 1, 3, like that. And they were going into the whole thing, breaking it down, and told these people that you need to repent. That's that the church is one place where people of all persuasions can come in and be together. There is no black and white in the church. There's no black and white in the reality world either. But this is the paradigm they got people still living on the plantation believing in. So when you look at this video, I mean, they got another one they did with the Black Lives Matter. He starts off with Black Lives Matter, and he says, "I now know what that means. Only Black Lives Matter. Nobody else's life matters." And that's an interesting perspective, because you got the light skin tone people involved with this Black Lives Matter thing, and they don't realize that after it's all said and done, that they're going to get wiped out, because the only thing left is Black Lives Matter. When you watch this stuff, I'm not kidding you. I would never thought in a million years we would have devolved to this level of stupidity. Bible says it right. My people perish for lack of knowledge. My people perish for lack of wisdom. If you're that freaking stupid to give away your Bible to blame God for the deceits of the devil and criminal elements on this planet to serve the devil, and not being able to recognize this, you know what? You need an ass whooping, and you're going to get it. Like I said, Jesus made a whip, and he was going to whip somebody's ass in that church for turning the church into a merchant's place, a farmer's market, whatever. Imagine that. You gave away your Bible because you believe God's responsible for this. You got some evil, corrupt pricks on this planet that will go to any ends and any means to kill the species on this planet. These are deranged, inbred, Moloch, Baal serving people, and they will go to any end to succeed in doing this. And it's up to us, not God, us, to stop these bastards from continuing in what they do. And as long as we're going to sit there with our thumbs up our backsides and be complacent and complicit to this, guess what? They're going to keep on exerting their influence because they are not meeting any opposition. This is why I say all the time, the complicity that we have done in this country, in Canada, in the U.S., and Europe, it's bullshit. Unbelievable bullshit. And you know what? In the past, any leader that would betray their country got hung. Sometimes their head was cut off and piked on a pike somewhere and said, "You're next, whoever tried this shit again." Maybe we should go back to those days. I don't know. Maybe. I think a lot of these leaders would think twice before they would betray their citizenry. I mean, seriously? When you sit there and think about our global leaders, how they're all involved in Moloch or Baal worship, all of them, children of Baal, they're trying to, through seduction and deception, maneuver the population to concede to wearing masks or whatever. In Canada, someone asked me today from Romania, she says to me, "How's it going in Canada?" She says, "Here people are fighting and protesting." I says, "In Canada," I said, "most of them, 90% of them are done. They're just a write-off." But I said, "But we do have people now fighting and litigating and going to take the country to a lawsuit." I said, "We do have some fighting going on here, but the majority here, they're pretty well, they're walking off the cliff, eyes open, but can't see the end of the road." That's an unfortunate reality here, and I don't know what that irks me to no end. That this has been implemented in everybody's head. These frequencies that we're getting hit with, in our head, these voice to skull or this imagery. I always say the video goes on in the head, right? You do something wrong and all of a sudden the movie screen pops up and the video just plays and keeps replaying the same thing over and over. That's the AI demonic thing guilting you and condemning you and causing condemnation. John 3:16, what it says there, about God not condemning the world, but that the world might be saved through him. Well, if you're trying your best to be right with God, then you need to deal with that program in your head. You need to tell that program to FRO that you're a child of God and that you have no place in my mind. How did you get there? Who gave you permission to come into my head? Expose it. Fight it. Okay, get that shit out of your head. It don't belong there. That's the only way to put it. It's nothing but shit, and it shouldn't be in your head. What should be in your head are things that are godly. That's what should be in your head. Godly, not spiritual shit. No, the word spiritual has lost all meaning today. The New Agers have destroyed that term. I'm eating tofu. I'm spiritual. Ooh. Ooh, look at the stars above. Ooh, I'm spiritual. Oh, let me hum this tune. I'm spiritual. Jeez. The simplest definition of spiritual is to deny one's flesh or carnal pleasures. That's the simplest definition of what it means to be spiritual. To be godly is to think more like God, to act more like God. That's what we should be dwelling on. That's what we should be dealing with. Okay, not this bullshit. See, you got to remember, we're all fighting programs. So again, this is no condemnation, no criticism on anybody who has to deal with this. We all have to deal with this at some level. I get voice of skull popping in my head all the time. I get the movie camera kicking in my head all the time, And I have a different attitude. I mean, I have one of these Chuck U. Farley type attitudes. If it comes my way, I'm going after it. I'm fighting it. I'm not tolerating this shit, period. This is the problem with most of us. We, in the name of Jesus, have tolerated shit we should never have tolerated. There's one thing to lay it down for the faith, but there's another thing when people try to take advantage of you because they think you believe in Jesus and you're a carpet. We're no carpets. We're not meant to be a carpet. The day comes when you have to carry your cross and get hung on it. That's the day that you surrender completely. But while you're here, people need to know that what you believe in is not a weak belief and any stretch of the imagination. Trying to follow this is not an easy chore, period. So when you get that crap popping into your head, you've got to deal with it. You just tell it to get out. However way you want to do it. In the name of Jesus, get out of my head. Deal with it. You don't belong here. This is not true. These are false. You may take some memories that you have dealt with to guilt you with that. It says, yes, but I've been forgiven, and move forward. That's how you got to deal with it. However it works for you. When they hit me in my head, it says, you and I have an appointed time with God, and I'll escort your ass to his kingdom. That's how I dealt with it. That works for you, use it. But like I said, these twins were talking, and they were hilarious. They really watch these guys. They're good people, I think. If I was ever down there, I'd like to meet them. I think they'd be a hoot to be with. Bring some grappa along, you never know. Now, I have been telling you about these masks, and they're dangerous. They're dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Now, and I've been saying how they can cause cancers and can cause brain cancers and all these things. And now masks linked to brain damage. This is why they want you to wear the mask, because if your brain isn't functioning correctly, guess what? You're easier to be subjected to a program. Shit gets into your head. You don't know why it's there. Okay? That's why. You're denying your body's capacity to remove the toxins that your body stores inside through breathing. It's not the carbon. Again, like I said, sometimes these people, it astounds me, the stupidity that I hear sometimes. Your body breathes out just like it has its own filtration system. Your skin, your liver, your kidneys, your lungs. Everything is out there trying to filter out whatever toxins you have inside the body. That's how we're designed. We work a lot like plants in that regard. Plants breathe out oxygen and take in carbon, and we breathe out carbon and take in oxygen. But it's a very similar symbiosis that we have with each other. But the idea works the same. We drink fluids and to hydrate and to flush. We defecate or go to the washroom or take a dump, whatever, to remove anything toxic in the colon. This is all part of how we are. So when we bottle up the venue to remove these toxins from the system, they are going to build up and they are going to create damage in the organs. It's time, like I said, complicity needs to be put aside. Okay? And so they're saying, now the reports are coming out more and more on this. So like I said, it's one of those, pay attention. There was a song by Bob Marley, Get Up, Stand Up. Get up, stand up for your rights. Remember that? Get up, stand up, don't give up the fight. I could sound Jamaican, but then some of my friends from Trinidad might get mad at me. But that song, the theme of that is correct. And we need to stand up on this. You don't have to carry a bazooka or a missile launcher or anything like that. Well, at least not yet anyway, but, that may come to that. I can see everyone now building their own. Hey, did you see this thing? It'll shoot for 5 miles. Wow, let's take a look. Protect yourself. Protect your health. The medical establishment. Okay, let me tell you about 3 things that have betrayed you. Okay, our government, and everything tied to government. That's the law enforcement and everything else. Our so-called religions. I don't care what you believe, whether you believe in Islam, whether you believe in Judaism, whether you believe in Christianity, whether you believe in Catholicism, whether you believe in Hinduism, whether you believe in Buddhism, any isms, they've all betrayed us. They've all lined themselves up with this one world network. That's why the Bible says, come out of her, my people. See, God doesn't want you tied to religion in the first place. All it does is kill you. As I said, you got to think in terms of being more godly. So, protect yourself. You ain't got nobody else except each other. I've been saying that for a long time. All we have is each other. It's all we ever had. I was watching a Star Trek Voyager scenario. This was some time ago. And there was a scenario where they got sucked into this dimensional portal. And a bunch of other spaceships were involved, and they hit them and with teleportation beams, and stole their stuff. And they had to form an alliance with other ships to create a bubble to be able to break through that dimensional rift to get back out. And with the cooperation that they had, they were able to make do with the supplies, and they were able to break free. Well, and I said that, and I've given the story about a joke where, a guy died, and again, it's a joke. It's not, it has nothing. It's the theme behind it. Has nothing to do with any factual anything, but it was the theme behind it, where the guy dies, he goes to hell. 3 guys are tied to a chair. They can't reach. They got this big long spoon, and by the time they pull the soup back to their mouth, the soup is spilled on the floor, and they're sad, miserable, and unhappy. And the next day, he goes to another place where everybody's dancing and laughing. They're all strapped to the same chair, and they're really happy because what happens is the one guy took a spoon and fed the other guy across, and everybody was feeding everybody. And as a result, they were all satisfied and full, and they were happy. They were content. They were joyful. We're the most joyful, really, when we start giving. That's when we find the most joy and satisfaction in anything, really, is when you're able to give and share and help each other, assist each other, edify each other, help each other become better. When I work on my projects and I do things, I put it out just to make them better, and I got a lot of people doing the stuff I'm showing, and they're building whatever, and some of them come up with good ideas. I had a buddy of mine named DeMarco. He's out in Croatia. He used to come up with a better idea than I did. I said, "Oh, you're pissing me right off. Why didn't I think?" He says, "You can't think of everything." I said, "Yes, but I should have got that one." but it wasn't a rivalry thing. It was he came up with he's one of these kind of guys that he'll sit on something, and he looks at things. He looks like me. He looks at things differently, and he comes up with these ideas, and like, "Oh man, geez, why didn't I think of that?" And he starts laughing at me. He said, "Well, you thought of all this other stuff." I said, "Yeah, but this one was a good one." I got another buddy of mine, Yanni. Same thing. He's over in Europe, and he thinks about stuff. Brian and I were working together on this whole nano thing. I mean, the ideas were popping back and forth. He'd come up with a good idea. I'd come up with a good idea. That's how it works. That's why you got what you got today. Worked with another fellow there, Dave, in Spain. Same thing. He took my ideas and he made them better and did this and modified, told me what he did. Holy cow. Like I said, this is a group project. Anything we can do to make it better and to improve upon the effect, hey, I'm all for it. I don't care who's got the idea. As long as we can share it. Same thing. Same thing. We got to help each other get through this, really get through this. Arm each other, find information that can give us the means to stand up, to be able to deal with whatever we got to deal with. Okay, and the last thing, your rights in Canada as far as the mask is concerned. Okay, I've got 2 links there. They're part 1 and part 2. I suggest you download them, print them, share them with every Canadian you know that still has a functioning brain cell. If they don't have a functioning brain cell, they won't be able to read it anyway. Just so you have an idea. I probably shouldn't say it that way, but nonetheless, it's what it is. Oh, geez. You know what? I may have to... Okay, I'm going to post these links up there. I hope they work. If they don't work, let me know. And then what I'll do is I'll put them in a PDF and then put the PDF up. I just realized that now they're under a Skype.com kind of thing. So see if they work. Shit. Oops, sorry. I didn't see that. Crap. See if they work. Hopefully they will. If not, let me know, and I'll probably still convert them into a PDF anyway. This way everybody will... actually, I did get them in a PDF. I just didn't upload them that way. All right. Well, let me know how that works and try it out and see how that goes so that, everybody has the data to be able to fight back. All right. On my site, there's a bunch of people there that are doing stuff. Sherry at 3 churches. She's always doing stuff. This is a woman. I'll tell you, there aren't very many ministers I respect, or not, I shouldn't say respect. I care to hear them. But I'll tell you one thing. This one here, boy, I'll tell you, she's got fire. You know, she's got fire in her ire. And she's telling you all the stuff that's going on too. You should go watch her videos on YouTube. She's telling you everything about what's going on, the satanic shit, and all the how the game is played. That's what I got. I mean, she is there, baby. She's on the front line. So go listen to her. You know, go listen to her. I'm a salt of the earth type guy. I'm not. I know what I know. She's gonna give you. She'll go into it more elaborately with a lot of you. You know. Don't jack her around. I'll tell you this straight out now. Don't jack her around. She will put you in your place sooner or later. She'll tell you. She won't speak Canadian. She hasn't got that far yet. I will, but she won't. You know. So, but she will, in her own way, put you in your place. So don't fool with her. You know. She's not a gal to be reckoned with, played with. You also got on there. You got Brian 396. You got Yanni. You got Shai in Israel. You got somebody else there too. Who the heck else? Is there somebody else? Oh, there's myself too. I'm there somewhere. Let's see here. I know I'm missing somebody. Yanni, Brian, Aroy, Brian. Well, I guess me. I was the last one. Okay, I forgot about me then. All right. Yeah, check out all the links. Learn something. Again, acquire the knowledge. Come up with ideas. Best thing I can tell you. Come up with ideas. All right. Until the next segment, to your health. And remember this as well. I'm trying to keep this incorporated from the other previous shows I've done on other networks. You know, we are still here by the grace of God. Always remember that. By the grace of God, we are still here. All right. Talk to you in a bit. Take care.